I like to give all praises to the Most High. And, I've been getting into the Book of the Mormon because, what I mean, the Most High has been unsealing these books. And, it's coming to the knowledge that, these books, you know, are, are accounts of our records too, man, of the lost tribes. But the Book of Mormon is mostly talking about the Northern Kingdom, man. That came over the Americas. Is mostly dealing with the ancient inhabitants of the Americas. But anyway, as I came across a passage in here that reminded me of the things that these Freemasons like to do. I just want to I just want to show you, man, like how how these guys operate. This is the book of Helaman, chapter 6, out of the Book of the Mormon, and it says, "And it came to pass that in the 6th and the 60th year of the reign of the judges, behold, Sesaram." So Sesaram was a righteous judge. Let me just state that right now. Sesaram was murdered by an unknown hand as he sat upon the judgment seat, and it came to pass that in the same year that his son, who had been appointed by the people in his stead, was also murdered, and thus ended the 66th year. Yeah, so Sesaram was a righteous judge, and it says that he was murdered by an unknown hand, and then his son took his place, and he was also murdered, man. And it says right here down in verse 16, after they got murdered, the people began to grow exceedingly wicked. So everything was going fine. These guys were righteous judges. People was prospering, but somebody murdered them, man. By an unknown hand, and the people that murdered them was a group called right here in verse 18, Kishkumen and Gaddington. Now I'm gonna show you how these guys operate, and I'll show you that they still doing the same thing right here today. Verse 21. It says, so people united with them, to join their groups. It says right here in verse 21, it said they did unite with those bands of robbers and did enter into their covenants and their oaths that they would protect and preserve one another in whatsoever difficult circumstances that they should be placed, that they should not suffer for their murders and their plunderings and their stealings. So this group right here, they murdered the righteous judges because they wanted to have their way. And you see what it says right here. They entered into a covenant with oaths that they would protect and preserve one another, so that whatsoever they did, they won't be punished. And this is what these Freemasons do. You know what I mean? This is what they do to have their power. This is what they've been doing. They went out, they killed those righteous servants of the Lord, and they got people to enter into their covenant. And this is what they do. They hold each other up. You know what I mean? And protect each other. Let's keep going, right? Let's keep going, man. 22. And it came to pass that they did have their signs, yea, their secret signs and their secret words, and this that they might distinguish a brother who had entered into the covenant, that so whatever wickedness his brother should do, he should not be injured by his brother, nor by those who did belong to his band, who had taken this covenant. So what does that sound like, man? This is exactly what they do. These Freemasons, they have secret handshakes, secret signs, so you could, you could distinguish who's who's a Mason from who's not, because it's all shrouded in secrecy. And you have to understand these these handshakes and these symbols, to know who's who. You see, they entered into a covenant, man. Let's keep going. And thus they might murder and plunder and steal and commit whoredoms of all manner of wickedness, contrary to the laws of their country and also to the laws of the Most High, man. This is what they wanted, to have their way. This is what they do. This is what they're doing currently. You know what I mean? And whosoever of those belong to their band should reveal unto the world. No, and whosoever of those who belong to their band should reveal unto the world of their wickedness and their abominations. So if you're part of their group, which is telling you right here, they're going to reveal to you their secrets. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And the wickedness that they're doing. So the abomination should be tried not according to the laws of their countries, but according to the laws of their wickedness, which had been given by the Gadanton and the Kishkamen. Those are the you know what I mean, that the group. So they're not going to be tried according to the laws of the Most High, but according to their own laws. So you see, these guys go out there, they kill, they rape, they overthrow people's governments, things of that nature. But they're not persecuted, they're not punished for it, because it's within their own sect. You know what I mean? You know, this is what these devils are doing, man. And you see, this is stuff that was going on back then. I mean, secret handshakes, secret covenants to steal and commit murder. I mean, and right here in verse 25, you have Alma. Alma was a righteous prophet, and you know he was telling his son. Let's read it real quick. Now behold, it is these secret oaths and covenants which Alma commanded his son should not go forth unto the world, lest they should be a means of bringing down a destruction unto people. So Alma right here, he's a righteous prophet. Remember? Righteous servant of the Lord. He's telling his son, do not enter into any covenants and oaths. You know what I mean? Because it's going to bring destruction among the people. These secret oaths. You know what I mean? This is what he's telling his son, man. You know? Oh, man. Come on, what does that sound like, man? Let's keep going. So the Nephites had seduced the more part of the righteous until they had come down to believe in their works and partake in their spoils and to join with them in their secret murders and combinations. So this is what they do. They seduce people with lies. They tell lies. Everything is compartmentalized. You know what I mean? So nobody actually knows what's really going on. And this is how they recruit people in. You know? And look, and let's say, for example, and I compare it to this whole gang stalking thing. This is how this thing is compartmentalized too, and how this society is running too. So if you're complaining about corruption, things of that nature, you become an enemy to these guys. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna X you out of society. You know what I mean? To where your back is against the wall, to where you have no choice but to join these guys to survive. This is what these devils do. You know what I mean? So it's all about, you know what I mean, corrupting everybody, man. You know what I mean? Corrupting every single person so that they can continue to live. So once you get involved in their, you know what I mean, into their business and into the way they do things, you also have dirt on your name, man. You also got to keep your mouth shut, because that's how you're going to survive, man. You know what I mean? This is exactly what they're doing. Let me see. And thus they did obtain sole management of the government, insomuch that they did trample under the feet and smite and rend and turn their backs upon the poor and the meek and the humble followers of the Most High. This is exactly what they doing, man. You know what I mean? These group of men did. You know what I mean? They took down the righteous. They recruited others to come in with them. You know what I mean? They started their little secret groups. And they persecuted the followers of the Most High. But you see, before, everything was going fine. I mean, everything, look, the people was reigning in righteousness, man. But these guys, all these guys want to do is have their way and do things their way, man. And their way is, look, greed, man. Corruption, greed. You know what I mean? Selfishness, man. Oh, man. You see? Secret oaths, man. You know, enter into that secret oaths with them. This is what these devils do. So, let me see. You know, these guys don't care about, you know what I mean? These guys, when they get into positions of power, they care about themselves, man. I mean, and people within their sect. And like I was saying, you know, they want you to join their sect so they can continue to do their wickedness, man. Or else you won't be able to survive. Else they'll try to X you out. You know, they don't care about doing well amongst the people, man. You know, but And that got me to I don't know. I just came across this article right here. I don't know how, and we're gonna take a look at it. So this guy named right here, he's Li Huan, man. You know what I mean? He's Chinese, and the reason he's crying right now, it is all this picture, is because they had just sentenced him. He just learned his fate. They sentenced him to death. You know what I mean, execution in China, and you know, I was, and this is, they said this was one of China's wealthiest men, and I was thinking to myself, you know what I mean, how come he didn't, get off? I mean, this guy's worth six. They said he was worth 6.4 billion, man. Let's check it out real quick. Yeah, so you see right there, it says he was worth 6.4 billion, and I was like, man, the way this society is running, you know what I mean, he should have been able to get off, man. You know, but he got the death penalty, and I mean, this guy, you see him right there, he was sitting down crying, and we're gonna take a look at what he did. So basically, it says Li Huan and his brother. I mean, I'm just summarizing. I'm reading real quick. I mean, he killed 3 men, including a rival gang boss, who had been recently released from prison. He had ordered the killings of 3 others in a village, including a villager who led the protest of one of the real estate projects. I mean, so, and I'm pretty sure he did more than that, man. I'm pretty sure this guy have done way more killings like that, way more hits than that. You know what I mean? But it's funny to see this guy right here sitting down crying. After the hits that he ordered on people, man. I mean, but he thought that maybe because he was a billionaire, he would have gotten off, and more than likely he would have gotten off. But there was a reason. I was scrolling through the comments, looking at how come he didn't get off, and there was a reason why he didn't get off, man, because he was on the wrong side of the Communist Party, man. And I believe he was going against them. That's why they took his ass down. So that's all going back to this Freemasonry and these secret oaths. You know what I mean? And the covenants. I'm pretty sure he was one of these guys, man. I mean, you don't get to be no billionaire status unless you're one of these guys, man. They won't allow it, But he started, you know what I mean? He was at odds with a certain sect of the Communist Party, and they got rid of his ass, man. You know what I mean? So like I said, all these guys, they have dirt on each other. I mean, this is what they do. They have dirt on each other. And when they stopped playing the ball game, they got rid of him, man. I mean, this guy got 6.8 billion. There's no reason this guy should, he shouldn't have gotten the death penalty, man. You know what I mean? He should have been he should, but like I'm saying, he should have been able to get off, is what I'm saying. you know. So Li Han was arrested in March 2013, only months after Xi Jinping, and became China's top leader. So that's the guy that that really took him down. And then they was already gunning for this guy, because after he became the top leader, he came right after him. So they was already gunning for this guy, and they was already gunning to take him down. And they gave this dude the death penalty, man. But my whole thing is like, I mean, look at this guy's face. I mean, this is what I want to get at. Look at how he's crying. But this is the same guy that ordered the hits on these men, and had them put to death. I mean, but when you get sentenced to death, you want to sit down here and cry tears, man. Oh man. That's that. I mean, that's that. I said all that to say this, man. Look at how this guy's crying, man. So you see, once you leave their group, for example, look at Jeffrey Epstein too. I mean, they knew what that guy was doing, man. They been knew what that guy was doing, but something went wrong. And look, guys is not following protocol by the oaths that they made, the secret oaths that they made. You know what I mean? So they gotta go, and I believe that's what happened to him. You know what I And in China, you're not spending years on death row. I mean, they execute you quick. I think within after this sentence got handed down, he was going within about 8 months. You know, and that's also they execute a lot of people in China, and that's because it's also population control. It's also a scare tactic on the people too, so they won't rebel. And it's also you know organ harvesting is big over there. So they do take a lot of the organs and sell them on the black market and things like that. That's the reason they execute so many prisoners. I mean, they execute you for stupid stuff in China, man. You could get the death penalty for just stealing. I mean, like, for real. But yeah, man. So I'm gonna end with this verse right here, Alma chapter 30, verse 60, and it says, "And thus we see the end of him who perverted the ways of the Lord, and thus we see that the devil will not support his children at the last day, but doth speedily drive them to hell." This guy didn't have no support. And I'm pretty sure these guys were, his people, man. I'm pretty sure that, he's paid people off countless times, man, to get things done for him. But you see, when you're working for Satan, he's not going to support you in that last day, in that last moment. you know, because you went against that. You went against them. So that's how a lot of you guys gonna be at the end, man. Crying just like him. Trying to contend with the Most High. You mean? But I just had to bring that one out. All praises to the Most High, man.